Alrighty, guys. I think we should be live. Make sure my white mic's on. Okay. What's up? What's up, man? It's Friday. Friday night slate, 5 games. It is a little bit of a smaller slate, but we got another stream for you guys. We're going to talk through this slate. We're going to answer a couple questions, but we are going to do things a little bit different today. So I talked about this in yesterday's stream, and I'll talk about it today for the people that weren't in the stream yesterday. But today, we're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to do a full game-by-game breakdown where I basically go through each one of today's games, just kind of talk about some spots I'm looking at, some plays I'm eyeing, guys in good matchups, guys in bad matchups. And as we do that, we're going to answer some questions too. So if you have questions on the game that we're specifically talking about at that time, feel free to ask those in the chat because I still want to keep you guys involved in the chat. I don't want to just sit here and talk to myself for an hour. I still want to involve everyone in the chat. So we're going to do that. We'll start off with probably the first game, which is Cleveland-Detroit. That's going to be a tricky one because right now we're still waiting for news on James Harden, but we'll talk about that in a second. But hope you guys are all having a good Friday, man. Hope you guys are excited for tonight's slate. Hopefully we can all make some money tonight. Our stream slate yesterday got refunded, so luckily we didn't take a loss there. Should have took a loss because Obi Toppin, we took his over PRA, and he didn't even play in the second half, so that got rebooted. Paired that with Mark Williams' fantasy score, which lost. Shout out Mark Williams, 14 minutes. Yeah. I swear to God, man. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds Mark Williams plays 14 minutes? I think Oso Ighodaro played like almost the entire second half last night. Like, it just makes no sense. But luckily, that didn't come back to bite us because, the 2-pick got refunded. So, technically not a loss. We'll take it, I guess. Better than, a refund's better than a loss. So, we'll see if we can find a winner for today, though. Right now, at the time, I currently don't have like a slip in mind that I'm going to play, but there are some spots that I'm eyeing in this first game that we're about to talk about in a second. So let me go ahead and get something ready on my phone real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started here in a second. I do want to give people some time to get into the stream and stuff. But okay. All right. Let's see. Let me switch over to Prizepicks, and we'll get started. I see Michael's already in the chat. Said, hit the like button on your way in. Yes, sir. Please do that, guys. I always appreciate everyone who comes into the streams and supports, likes, is active in the chat. So thank you to all my supporters out there. I saw David saying he was going to go ahead and say to grab Schroeder, 17.5 PA because Harden's going to sit, but they bumped it. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and talk about that game since it's the first game on the slate. So right now, we are still waiting for news on James Harden. We don't have anything as of yet. Last report that we got was that he's a game-time decision. Underdog tweeted out, let me see if I can find it. They tweeted out that Harden is a game-time decision Friday. He was struggling dribbling in shoot-around this morning. So, I mean, man, the fact that Harden was struggling to dribble the freaking ball, like you would think he's not playing tonight. And I was looking at props on Dennis Schroeder because Dennis Schroeder's the guy who gets the biggest boost if Harden's out. Like he basically goes from coming off the bench playing 20 minutes to in the starting lineup, playing like 30 minutes. His PRA line went up a point. A lot of his lines basically went up like 1 point, but they didn't go up a ton. So I'll just go ahead and say have overs ready on Dennis Schroeder if we get news that Harden is out. They're going to pull the lines very quickly. But I would definitely be looking at 20.5 PRA over. I'd be looking at maybe 14.5 PR. You could do 19.5 PA as well, but I think PRA would be better since it's only a point higher. Really like this if James Harden gets ruled out. And then I think also, Jared Allen gets a little bit of a boost. Evan Mobley gets a little boost. I think Jalen Tyson also gets a pretty nice boost as well. Honestly, like Jalen Tyson fantasy score at 25, that looks pretty solid if Harden's out. So like these are 2 plays I really like tonight if we get word that Harden's sitting. Because I think both those guys really, really benefit. And then we'll try and find something, potentially to pair with that. But we're going to keep an eye on that Harden news. Again, I think we'll get it sometime during the stream. But let's go ahead and talk about this first game, Cleveland, Detroit, and we will switch over to Props Madness. We'll look at some matchups, stuff like that. And we'll answer any questions you guys have specifically for this game. So openly opinionated said, how are you doing? No, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm excited for this slate. And he was talking about taking shorter lines. I don't know if I would take shorter lines right now. but that's just, that's kind of like your risk tolerance. Like if you're okay embracing the risk that maybe Harden, plays, I guess you could take it. They're going to be very quick to pull the lines if we do get news that Harden's out. So like if you just want to go ahead and play it and just hope for the best, you could. I try not to do that. Typically, I like to wait, but like I said, they'll be very quick to pull the lines. But I would just have them ready, honestly. Have them ready in a slip and just have a slip ready to play. And, as soon as we get news Harden's out, I'll let you guys know. You'll get the news as soon as I get it. But yeah, let's talk about this first game, Cleveland and Detroit. So looking at this game, on the Detroit side, there's not a ton of props I was looking at for today. I was looking at Cade Cunningham's fantasy score on Prizepicks. The line was at 51 earlier today, and I was actually kind of liking the under on that. The line's come down now to 49.5. It's not a great matchup for Cade Cunningham. He's really good as a pick and roll ball handler. That's where he scores a lot of his points, and we can see that Cleveland really good at limiting points to the pick and roll ball handler, especially when they have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley both healthy, which those guys are playing tonight. Fourth best limiting points to the pick and roll ball handler. So it's kind of a difficult spot for Cade. I was looking at some Cade unders. Some of his lines have come down a little bit though. His points prop at 25.5. Honestly, I don't hate the under on that. Like some sites like MGM has a minus 150 to the under. Pinnacle has a minus 128 to the under. A lot of the sports books are favoring the under on Cade's points prop. I think this is kind of a difficult matchup for him, especially with how he scores his points in the paint. Almost half of his points are coming from within 10 feet. That's where Cleveland's really good defending. Kind of like some Cade unders tonight. Other props, though, from Detroit, there's not much else I'm looking at here. That's pretty much it. Like, just Cade unders I was kind of looking at. Everything else looks pretty efficiently priced. The fantasy scores look pretty efficiently priced to me as well. Again, Cade's fantasy score was over 50 earlier today. If it was still at like 51.5, I would say that would be a good under to take. But since it came down, don't really like that as much. All the other fantasy scores look pretty good in this game. And then the Cleveland side, it's so tough to break down Cleveland right now because we just don't know who's playing, or we don't know if Harden's playing. And, projections change pretty drastically if Harden's out, especially for guys like Dennis Schroeder. Jalen Tyson gets a boost, but definitely Dennis Schroeder. Like I said, I would be looking at some Dennis Schroeder overs if we do get word that Harden's out. Again, we're still waiting for that news. We don't have any update yet. The report that we got was that Harden was a game time decision. But if Harden gets ruled out, I would definitely be looking at some Dennis Schroeder overs. He would probably play like 30 minutes, maybe more. I think last game he played 35 minutes. They didn't have Evan Mobley last game, so Evan Mobley's back today. But still, Mitchell's out, and obviously Harden would be out too if that's something that you want to look at. But yeah, big role for Schroeder last game. 14 shot attempts in 35 minutes. I want to say he had a pretty good ball handling role too. He had 5 assists on 14 potential assists. So, even like a 5.5 assist you could look at for plus money on some of these sites. That could be something worth looking at too. It's not a good matchup for Schroeder, but the role would be really, really good, if there is no Harden. And then, I don't know about the other Cavs here. I feel like if Harden plays, that's probably better for Jared Allen if Harden's out. I don't know if that makes too much of an impact on Allen's role. It's also not a good matchup for Jared Allen. The Pistons are one of the best defenses, protecting the paint, and that's where Allen scores a lot of his points. You could see 92% of Allen's points this year coming from within 10 feet. The Pistons are second best defending that specific area, that shot type. 66% of his points coming in the restricted area. They're second best defending the restricted area. It's a really tough matchup for Jared Allen. And I honestly think if Harden's out, that's probably more of a negative for him than it is a positive. He did have a big game last game without Harden, but that was a easier matchup against Milwaukee. Also, Evan Mobley was out last game. And then Evan Mobley, he's on a minutes restriction still. We don't really know what the restriction is. So he came back. He was out for about a month. He last played January 26th, and I think he came back about a month later, February 19th. He played 19 minutes, first game back. Then he played 25 minutes, and then he played 24 minutes. I would think Mobley's gets about 26 to 28 minutes tonight. I really don't have a good read on that, though. It's just a guess. We can look at Mobley's games this year with 26 to 28 minutes and see how he produces. But, you got to remember Donovan Mitchell's out tonight. Harden could maybe miss, so things are obviously different. But if you look at just 26 to 30 minutes, I mean, Mobley's averaging 15.6 points per game. His line's at 15.5. It's not a great matchup. His rebounds, he averages 8.6 rebounds. With that minute sample, rebounds prop tonight's at 7.5. It's not a great rebounding matchup. Maybe he picks up more usage if Harden's out, but the big question for Mobley is just like how many minutes can he play, and I really don't know. So that's kind of one of those spots I think I just kind of stay away from for today at least. But if you guys have any questions you want unanswered for tonight, you can throw those in chat. We did just get a report from one of the Cavs beat writers. James Harden has not yet taken the court for his pregame workout, so that makes me assume he's not playing. I mean, if he's not out there yet, the game starts in 45 minutes, and he's not on the floor for his pregame workout. So I'm honestly just going to assume Harden's not playing. So I would bet overs right now on Dennis Schroeder. I think Jalen Tyson gets a boost as well. So I'm gonna put some stuff in on Sleeper since I can play on Sleeper. So just give me a second, guys. And if you want to bet some overs, I would honestly take these two right here, and let's see what we could pair it with. Man, like a lot of the fantasy score lines I took earlier today got bumped up. Let's see. If you guys have a play you really like, feel free to take it and pair it with these two props. I'm looking at, let's see, man. Honestly, KPJ at 40 fantasy score, I was kind of liking that. I think I'm going to take that. I do like that KPJ play. I almost gave that out to Patreon members today. He's had such a big role lately, playing huge minutes. Let's lock that in. So this will be a stream slip for today, if you guys want to tail. Again, we got the report that Harden's not, out there for pregame workouts. So they just bumped up Tyson fantasy a point. You honestly, what do they have? What else do they have? They still have 21.5 PRA. That's fine as well. Honestly, you could take out fantasy and play PRA. That's totally fine. Either one of those is good. Really, the guy who really benefits here, though, is Schroeder. But I'm going to try and get some more slips in real quick. And look, if I'm wrong and, Harden plays, then so be it. But just given the reports, it looks like he's not playing. So I'm going to start building slips, assuming that's the case. So let's see here. I'm taking Schroeder PRA in a couple slips. Last game, Schroeder's PRA was like 27.5 after Harden got ruled out. Now, the matchup was better against Milwaukee. This matchup's not as good, but I would think his line's going to probably go up to about 24.5 if we do get news that Harden's officially out, which it looks like that's going to be the case. Let's see what other props I was looking at for today. I really wish Sleeper had fantasy score, man. Like, they don't have fantasy score, and it makes it kind of tougher to play there. Okay, well, the lines are gone now. Okay, yeah, James Harden just officially got ruled out. So there you go, guys. Go ahead and try and lock these in before they get pulled off the board. Again, Schroeder, his lines look the best to me. 21.5 PRA, I think that's pretty good. They're going to pull these lines. Yep, there they go. So hopefully you guys got those in. We were kind of ahead of the news. That's why it's worth it to be in these streams, man. We were ahead of the news. We knew it was coming. I'll be interested to see how much they bump those lines on Schroeder. But I hope you guys all got those slips in. I know some people said that Schroeder's lines were getting pulled. They were still up on Prizepicks at least. They probably got pulled elsewhere though. But at least on Prizepicks they were still available. I got 2 slips in on Sleeper, so hopefully those cash for me. I took Schroeder PRA, Jalen Tyson PRA, and then I took my Hartenstein PR prop that I gave out to YouTube members or YouTube people yesterday. So if those 3 all hit, I'll be looking pretty good. You had a lineup in, then you canceled it? Why would you cancel it, man? No, don't cancel it. Look, we kind of knew that Harden wasn't playing based off that report. I mean, if the game is going to start in 45 minutes and a player's not out there for their warm-ups at that time, you just kind of assume they're not playing. So that's pretty much it for that game. I mean, obviously now that Harden's out, the lines are going to change a ton. So it's really hard to break down the Cleveland props because like the lines are probably changing right now. Let's just go ahead and talk about the next game. Was there any questions? I want to see if I missed any questions. I saw someone asked about Paul Reed. I mean, yeah, I guess if it's a blowout, you could look that way, but I don't think it would be a blowout. I mean, I think Cleveland, especially with Mobley healthy, with Allen healthy, like they can still keep it close enough. Look, Paul Reed's only going to play like the backup center minutes behind Duren. So if Duren's playing like 32 minutes, that basically leaves like 16 minutes for Paul Reed. The way that Reed gets more minutes is if Duren gets in foul trouble. Maybe in this matchup, maybe they'll play Duren and Reed together. I doubt it, but they might go that route. There's paths to Paul Reed playing more, but I don't think I'd be betting any Paul Reed overs. It's not a great matchup for him either, so I think I'd probably just avoid those. Let's go ahead and talk about the next game. So next game is Celtics and Nets. This one is just... God, like this one's tough. So it's a 17.5 point spread right now. Like, it's a good spot for a lot of these Boston guys, especially like the bigs. Brooklyn's really been struggling. I want to say, like, if you look at their last 10 games, I know Brooklyn's been giving up some points in the paint as of late. Let's see. Let's look at the last 10. I saw how to do this. Okay, last 10. So, like, last 10 games. Let's look at, like, last 15 games. Let's see. I'm looking at Paul Reed still. Let's go to Vooch. Just pull up Vooch. So, like, we can see, like, last 15 games, I mean, Brooklyn's getting killed, you know, around the rim and in the paint. They rank 28th, you know, third worst in the league in terms of points allowed within 10 feet. You can see, you know, in terms of how Vooch scores his points, really good for this matchup. 45% of his points coming from spot up and transition. That's where Brooklyn has really struggled as of late. So, I think it's a good spot for Vooch and for Kata, but, like, with it being a 17.5 point spread, man, like, I just don't know. You know, these guys are, if it's a blowout, I would doubt these guys play. Like, they have Luka Garza, who will get blowout minutes, like, he'll get the garbage time minutes. You know, since Vooch is coming off the bench, maybe he plays a little bit more in a blowout, but I doubt it. Like, they're going to put Luka Garza in there, so somebody from Boston probably does well tonight. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm just kind of avoiding this team. I don't see a ton of value on any props right now at the moment. Maybe like some first half overs if you want to look that route, because I think Boston will have a pretty easy job scoring point. Like they're not going to struggle to score points here. At least they shouldn't. Like this should be a spot where Boston is able to score points pretty easily. So you can look at like some first half overs maybe on Vooch or Kata, because I think those are the guys that are in the best matchups. Everyone else I'm kind of staying away from. And then on the Brooklyn side, like MPJ, his points prop is really low. Like it's typically in the mid-20s. I saw someone asking a question about MPJ. The issue is that like he might only play 3 quarters. And I bet we could look at games this year. Let's see. When MPJ plays like less than 30 minutes, let's take a look at that. When he plays like less than 30 minutes, he averages 14.8 points per game under this line in 7 out of 8 games. So really, if the game's competitive, MPJ probably goes over 20.5 points. If the game's a blowout, he probably goes under. Have they played Boston this year? Let's see. They have played Boston 3 times this year. He's actually done really well in all 3 games. 34 minutes, 37 minutes, and 42 minutes, though, in those games. So, clearly those games were all competitive. 14 points differential, 8-point differential, 4-point differential. That's really what it comes down to. Like, maybe you could take like I don't even know what the odds would be on this, but maybe you could take like a Brooklyn spread with MPJ points. I don't know what that would pay out, but it feels like if MPJ goes over his points, it's because Brooklyn's keeping it competitive. And on the opposite side of that, you could do the opposite side. Like you could take MPJ under points with Celtics like minus 15 or something. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the odds would be on that, but that's like how I would probably play this game. The rest of the Nets props, I'm just kind of shying away from. I mean, if it's a blowout, like I think Nolan Traore would benefit because he's been a guy that has played at times in blowouts this year. But they do have Ben Saraf available for this game. He's one of their guards. He's been in the G League, but he's available for today. So like they have another guard available that could potentially take minutes away from Traore if it's a blowout. But like maybe you could look at some overs on Traore. It's not a great matchup, but he probably plays a good amount here. Even on a back-to-back, he played, 30 minutes last night. If it's a blowout, he probably gets close to that again. If it's a competitive game, he probably plays like upper 20s minutes. Like his minutes feel fairly safe, even if it's a blowout. Whereas a lot of these other guys, I mean, obviously their minutes are getting cut big time if it's a blowout. That's all I got for this game, man. Like it's a one that I'm kind of just avoiding. I don't see really much value on really many props in this one. Irias was asking about Pritchard under points. We could look at that one. Let's see. The problem with Pritchard is like we have seen at times when the Celtics blow out teams, sometimes they will actually let Pritchard kind of play into the blowout. And if he's out there, like if they're up by 25 in the fourth quarter to start the fourth quarter, like a lot of times Pritchard's going to play most of the fourth quarter. Whereas like Jaylen Brown will be on the bench, Derek White will probably be on the bench. Like they don't have a problem letting Pritchard kind of go and play into blowouts. So that concerns me a little bit for his under. I don't think his minutes would get cut a ton even if it's a blowout. But the matchup's not great. Like Brooklyn's a team that they put a lot of pressure on lead ball handlers. They trap a lot. They really get killed in the paint. Like that's where Brooklyn really struggles. You can see above the break threes, they don't really give up many above the break threes at all. And that's where 45% of Peyton Pritchard's points are coming this year. Also, Peyton Pritchard, 43% of his points were coming from pull up. The Nets are the best defense in the league in terms of defending pull-ups, so I don't like the matchup for Pritchard. In this matchup this season, he's had 3 games, one with 22 points, one with only 13 points, and then one game with 32 points. The game he had 32 points, it looks like Derek White was out for that game. 17.5 feels like a good line on Pritchard. I would lean the under if I had to pick a side, but I could totally see a scenario where like the Celtics are up 25 going into the fourth quarter. Pritchard has like 10 points, and then he gets to play like 7 or 8 minutes straight with no Brown, no White, and he winds up scoring like 8 points in those minutes and hits the over. So it's just like, I don't know, man. There's enough reasons to talk me out of it, I guess. But if I had to pick a side, I would lean the under there on Pritchard's points. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. I don't think anyone had any other questions. I saw, 916 did ask about Shireman on the Celtics for 6.5 points. We can take a look at Baylor Shireman. So I don't know for sure, but I think Baylor Shireman would play in a blowout. I want to see if let's look at some blowouts recently. So they won by 22 against the Lakers. He played 29 minutes. They lost by 19. Let me look at the rotations from last game. Let me pull this up on my other monitor. Let's see. Or I can actually just move it over here. I know the last game against the Nuggets, that was a blowout, I believe. Because I remember I had a Christian Brown over and he didn't play in the fourth quarter. Let's see, what day was that? I think that was yesterday or 2 days ago. Let's see. It's this game. So Shireman started the fourth quarter. He didn't play the garbage time, though. They had Luka Garza, Banton, Ron Harper, Walsh, and Hugo Gonzalez. So I don't think Shireman would play blowout. I don't think he'd play garbage time minutes. But he's kind of similar to Pritchard. He's one of those players that they're not going to be quick to pull him, I should say. Whereas Derek White, Jaylen Brown, they'll be quick to pull those guys. Vooch as well. This is something that you like to see right here. 56% of Baylor Shireman's points coming from spot up, and the Nets are a bad defense defending spot up. 75% of his points this season are coming from spot up in transition, and that's where the Nets do struggle. So that's at least a plus for Baylor Shireman, at least with how the Nets give up points to certain play types. That favors him. Now, his dominant shooting zone is above the break threes, and like we said earlier, that is where they are good defensively. They do limit points to above the break threes. So that's not a great thing for Baylor Shireman. He scores a lot of his points from catch and shoot. The Nets are basically a below league average team in defending catch and shoot. Honestly, I don't hate it on Shireman's over. Let's look at games when he plays at least 20 minutes. Let's see. When he plays at least 20 minutes, he averages 8.9 points per game over in 10 out of 17 games. You would think he's playing at least 20 minutes here. He's been starting lately, so as a starter, you probably assume he's playing over 20 minutes. Most of these games lately, he's been getting, mid-20s. Let's look at games with at least 24 minutes. With at least 24 minutes, 8 out of 13 games he's over, averaging 8.8 points per game. Looks like he's pretty much at 7.5 everywhere, even money. Guess I would lean the over there. I guess I'd lean the over. That's one I'm not super confident in, though. I think that's pretty much it for that game. I think we kind of answered most of the questions. I think I talked about most of the props I like there. So let's move on to the next game, Knicks and Bucks. So on the Bucks side, we'll start off there first. Both of their guards have been playing huge minutes lately, KPJ and Ryan Rollins. I mean, you can look at KPJ's minutes, 38, 37, 31, 32. This game was a blowout. He only played 31, but like in close games, he's playing almost 40 minutes. They don't have Giannis right now. The offense is running through KPJ. The role's been incredible. I mean, you can look at his games without Giannis. He's averaging, in terms of like PRA, let's look at his PRA. I mean, he's averaging 35 PRA per game. I want to say his lines earlier today were at 30.5, and they've already come up a little bit. But I like some KPJ overs. I do. I took his fantasy score. I paired that with, the two Cavs props. I think it's a good spot for KPJ. We can see his points. A lot of his points come as a pick and roll ball handler, and that is where, the Knicks have struggled this year defending pick and roll. They rank, 5th worst in the league. So definitely think it's a good spot for KPJ. And the role is really good right now. I mean, he just had the ball in his hands so much, taking a ton of shots. He's getting assists too, rebounds. He's doing everything. He's even getting a bunch of steals and blocks as well. Like, I think last game he had like 5 steals, which is kind of why I liked his fantasy score. But 31.5 PRA, I lean the over there for KPJ. Like, let's see. Prizepicks still has him at 31.5 PRA. His fantasy's at 40. I mean, last game, obviously it's an outlier, but I mean, he had 5 steals last game. He's been getting a ton of steals and blocks lately. So both these props look good to me. I kind of like both of these. I think those are both solid plays. And then also I think it's a really good spot for Ryan Rollins as well. Just kind of the same thing. Like, he's just playing a ton of minutes right now. You look at his minutes lately, 35 last game, 37, 33. Like, these are the guys that are kind of running this Bucks offense. The bigs, the production they've been getting from their bigs has been very inconsistent. Miles Turner has not been playing well. His minutes have been all over the place. Bobby Portis has kind of been hit or miss. So, also think it's a good spot for Ryan Rollins. He's another guy that scores a lot of his points as a pick and roll ball handler. We talked about that, how that favors this matchup, given how the Knicks give up points to pick and roll ball handlers. We can see without Giannis this year, I mean, he's averaging like PRA per game. I mean, he's averaging 29 PRA per game. If we look at games without Giannis and with KPJ, I mean, he still averages 27.5 PRA per game. I took his fantasy score at 33.5. That was a play that I gave out to Patreon members today. The line's up to 35 now. I wouldn't take it at 35, but I do like some overs on Ryan Rollins as well. I think it's a good spot for both of the guards for Milwaukee. Do I like Nuggets money line? We'll talk about that in a second when we get to that game. I saw people asking some questions about that game. We'll answer all the questions based on the game we're talking about at the moment. So for right now, if you have questions for Bucks and Knicks, we'll answer those. I saw Rodney did have a question about Josh Hart over 10.5 points. We can look at that one. Let's go ahead and talk about some Knicks guys, because I think for the Bucks, I mean, for the most part, I'm looking at overs on KPJ, overs on Ryan Rollins, probably just kind of passing on everything else. It is a Jericho Sims revenge game if you're into that stuff. But for the Knicks, let's take a look at Josh Hart points. So Josh Hart's a player. He scores a lot of his points in transition. And I want to say as of late, the Bucks have kind of been struggling. On the season, they rank 8th best, limiting transition points. But let's look at like a last 15 sample, and let's see what we can get. So their last 15 for, let's see, do they have transition on here? I don't see it on Props Madness. But I mean, you can look at their defensive rating. It's really been bad. Their catch and shoot, they've been a big catch and shoot funnel this year. Like, the Bucks have given up a ton of threes this year. For Josh Hart, a lot of his scoring comes from transition points, and then just kind of from standing in the corner, getting catch and shoot threes. And that's where the Bucks will definitely give up points. I mean, you can see not a ton of Josh Hart's points come from above the break threes, but that's where Milwaukee really struggles. I mean, they're dead last over their last 15 games, giving up catch and shoot or above the break threes. So I think it's a really good spot for like some of the shooters for Milwaukee, or for the Knicks. Like Mikal Bridges, I think, is kind of in a sneaky good spot. He's a guy that gets a lot of his points from catch and shoot, gets a lot of his points from spot up. That favors him in this matchup. The minutes on Mikal Bridges have been up and down, though, which has me a little worried. Like, he's been at 25, 31, 30, 32. He's not getting, like, the huge minutes that he was getting kind of earlier in the season. But I do like the matchup for Mikal. I think the matchup for Josh Hart is fine as well. But kind of the same thing. Like, Josh Hart's minutes have kind of not been as high. Like, Josh Hart is a player that typically we think about him as like a 36, 37-minute guy. And as of late, he's kind of been like in the high 20s. Maybe he gets to 30. Like, last game, he was at 26. That's my concern on Josh Hart. But I do like the matchup for him to score. Same with Mikal. I saw someone asked about Brunson. It's also a good spot for Jalen Brunson as well. I mean, Milwaukee, they've typically been a team that, like, guards can have success against them. They just don't really have many good guard defenders. KPJ and Ryan Rollins, I mean, are not elite defenders by any means. And I want to say he already crushed Milwaukee earlier this year. Let's see. Let's look at the head-to-head stats. He had two big games against Milwaukee earlier this season. 36 points and 37 points. One of those games, OG didn't play, but don't think that really makes much of a difference for Brunson. I mean, you can see his usage rates in these games. 32.5% usage rate, 25 shot attempts, 21 shot attempts. It's definitely a good matchup for Brunson. He's a guy that gets a lot of his scoring from above the break threes. You can see Milwaukee really struggles in that area, as we mentioned. So, yeah, Brunson points, I mean, 26.5, that feels like a pretty good line. I saw someone asking about his fantasy score. Let's take a look at his fantasy score. That line's at 42. Honestly, I think if I was going to take anything, I would probably take points. Or, like, maybe PA. PA's at 32.5. Maybe PA I would look at. It looks like in these two games against Milwaukee, he had 5 potential assists and 13 potential assists. It's definitely a better matchup for him to score than I think it is to get assists. But, yeah, 26.5 points on Brunson. I don't mind the over there. 42 fantasy score, that feels about right. Like, I think I'd probably look at, like, PRA or PA or points before I took fantasy score. I mean, Brunson's typically not like a big steals and blocks guy. And he can turn the ball over too. I want to say his fantasy score was at 40.5 earlier today. And now it's at 42. I mean, if you got it at 40.5, then yeah, that's fine. At 42, I'd probably just avoid it. Okay, we did just get the Cavs starting lineup. Schroeder, Merrill, Tyson, Mobley, and Allen. So that's as expected. So all good there. I wonder, let me take a look at Schroeder's lines. How much did they move? Okay, Jalen Tyson fantasy went up 5.5 points. So we got some really good value there. Schroeder PRA went up to 25.5. So 4 points of value there. So, I mean, we got 4 points of value on Schroeder's PRA. We got 5.5 points of value on Tyson fantasy. Look, if the plays don't hit, man, it is what it is. But, like, we got some really good plays tonight. And I feel good about both of those. Just got to hope that our pair comes through. KPJ, though, I like the spot a lot for KPJ, and I think he can get over 40 fantasy. But I think that's probably it for this game for Knicks and Bucks. I saw Cody said he got Brunson at 40 fantasy. Okay, yeah, if you got him at 40 fantasy, that's definitely solid. At 42, I'd probably just avoid it. Do something real quick. I got to put an order in. See. My fiance's picking up our food for tonight, so I'm trying to put this order in real quick for her. Okay. And then, let me see. We'll go ahead and talk about the next game. Okay, I got that placed. All right. Just give me 1 second. Okay. What's for dinner? We're picking up Chick-fil-A. Good old Chick-fil-A, man. You can never go wrong with Chick-fil-A, especially on a Friday night. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game. All right, Grizzlies and Mavs. This is a really, really tricky one. So let me pull up the injury report, the most recent injury report, because right now Dallas has like a ton of guys either questionable or doubtful. this is what we're looking at for Dallas. So let's see here. They've got Marvin Bagley out. Musa Cisse is questionable. Cooper Flag's out. Kyrie's out, obviously. Miles Kelly's probable, so he's expected to play. Derek Lively's out. But then Caleb Martin's doubtful. Ryan Nembhard's doubtful. Klay Thompson's doubtful. P.J. Washington doubtful. So it looks like Milwaukee's going to have, I think, 10 available players, if assuming all the guys that are doubtful don't play. So they'll have Najee. They'll have Middleton. So I think Middleton plays tonight, but like there's a chance that he doesn't play, like he just DNPs. He hasn't played on a back-to-back like all season. He really never plays on back-to-backs, and he played like 33 minutes last night. So there's a chance like if Middleton doesn't start, like if we get the Mavs starting lineup and Middleton's not starting, just assume he's not playing. I think there's a possibility he just doesn't play tonight. But they have Marshall. Let's see. They have Marshall, Middleton, Max Christie, B. Will, Gafford. Assuming Cisse plays, they have Cisse, Tyus Jones, Dwight Powell, and then Miles Kelly. So if Cisse plays, they have non-available players. That's assuming that all the guys that are doubtful don't play, which if you're doubtful, typically you don't play. So you're seeing a lot of high lines on Najee Marshall, Brandon Williams. P.J. Washington has props available right now, which doesn't make any sense because he's not expected to play. He's doubtful. But, like, yeah, there's lines up on P.J. Washington. There's high lines on Max Christie. So one play that I did give out today on Patreon was Najee Marshall at 33 fantasy. And that line got bumped up a ton. It's at 37 now. Look, he played like 30. I think he played like over 40 minutes yesterday. It is a back-to-back, so anytime a guy plays 40 minutes, the second night of a back-to-back, there's always a chance that like his minutes come down. But we're at a point now where like Dallas only has like 9, maybe 10 available players. So at that point, I mean, you can only spread out the minutes so much when you have only a certain amount of players available. So I'm expecting like 30 minutes plus again from Najee Marshall. His fantasy score line was just too low today at 33. That was one of my favorite plays today. I mean, you can see with 30 minutes this year, he's averaging 29 PRA per game. We look at games without Cooper Flag. He averages almost 33 PRA per game. 33 PRA equates to like 37 fantasy, which, again, that's where his line's at now. So that was a play I gave out today. Right now, where Najee Marshall's lines are at, I would just probably pass. I will say, like, if you look at odds, so like DraftKings has his PRA at 33.5. Some sites have him at 32. It looks like FanDuel still has him at 31.5. So if you're on FanDuel, 31.5 PRA over is a pretty good plus EV play. I'm assuming that line's still available because a lot of the sites have him at 32.5 and even DraftKings at 33.5. But I would expect a big role for Najee Marshall here. I think Brandon Williams is another guy that's going to be in line for a big role. His lines are really high for tonight, but for good reason, just because like they're so thin. I mean, you can see 30.5 PRA. I mean, this is a line that he's only gone over 3 times this year, but he's going to probably play over 30 minutes. And I bet if we look at games with like over 30 minutes, he averages, 27 PRA per game. And I'm sure some of these games were probably with Cooper Flag, with P.J. Washington, and those guys are out tonight. I wouldn't touch any B-Will props, I don't think. I think they're all priced pretty efficiently. Maybe 34 fantasy score. Like, I don't hate that. If he is starting, I think there's some value there. I'm assuming he'll start, but I really don't know what the Mavs starting lineup is going to look like. It should be Najee, B-Will, Christie, Middleton, and Gafford, but who knows? So I do want to talk about Daniel Gafford. I think Daniel Gafford's in a really, really good spot here. He didn't play yesterday on the front end of a back-to-back. I'm assuming he'll be like close to normal minutes tonight. Now, Daniel Gafford's a player that he's always been injured his whole career, so like he never really plays big minutes. Like the most minutes he's played all season is 33. Rarely does he get over 30 minutes. But they don't have Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley was kind of eating into Gafford's minutes as of late. So I think without Bagley, the minutes are definitely, there's more minutes upside for Daniel Gafford here. Let's look at like his PR. Like his PR is at 19.5. His points is at 10.5. PRA 20.5. I don't hate some of those. I think it is a good spot for Daniel Gafford. I mean, this Grizzlies team, like they have no rim protection right now. They can't defend the paint. They went out and signed Taj fucking Gibson. Like if that tells you anything. They've got 40-year-old Taj Gibson out there protecting the rim. Like this should be a spot where Gafford is really, really productive. Like Memphis gets killed in the paint, especially like I'm sure if you look at like their last 10 games, last 15 games, that's where they've just been getting destroyed. I mean, yeah, last 15 games, I mean, they're second worst in terms of giving up points within 10 feet. It's a great, great spot for Gafford. And the fact that he didn't play yesterday, a lot of these other guys played really, really big minutes. Like I could definitely see them giving Gafford a few extra minutes because he's pretty well rested. So I do like some Gafford props. I think it's a really good spot for him. 27 fantasy score on Prizepicks. Or 29. See that line? I want to say that line was at 25 earlier today. Like it's come up a lot since Bagley got ruled out and all that. But it's a good spot for Gafford. The rest of the Mavericks props I'm probably just avoiding. Middleton, again, I don't know if he's even going to play tonight. If he's not starting, that probably means he's not playing. He hasn't played on a back-to-back all season. But he has had a really good role since he's been with Dallas. He's been playing pretty good minutes. He played 33 minutes last night. I did give out, earlier today in Discord, for my people in Discord, I did give out 18.5 PR. Looks like that line's at 19.5 now. It was just a low line given, once the injury news came out, like the line, it was basically just like a stale line. So I guess hopefully he plays for the people that got that. Hopefully he plays and goes over that 18.5 PR. But I wouldn't touch any Middleton props right now where the lines are at. I think they're all pretty efficient now. So that's probably it for Dallas. Now on the Memphis side, so Memphis, they're like a really tough team. Let me look at Memphis's recent game. Let's see here. When did Memphis last play? I think it was the 25th. Yeah, the 25th. So if we look at their last game against Golden State, I mean, look at these minutes. So yeah, 27, 27, 20, 26, 24, 20, 27, 23, 21, 22. Like this is a team that just spreads out the minutes. Like nobody plays more than 30 minutes on this team. The lines are already factoring that in for the most part. So there's not a ton of huge minutes upside on some guys, but I did take Scottie Pippen Jr. fantasy score. That line was I think it's 24.5 earlier today. That was just a low line with Ty Jerome out. Like even if Scottie Pippen only plays 22 minutes, he should have a pretty good shot at going over a 24.5 fantasy score without Ty Jerome. He's a player that's typically like a fantasy point per minute guy. And it's a good matchup too against a Dallas team on a back-to-back with half their team out. So I did take that. Other than that play, I don't know about this Memphis team, man. Like they just spread out the minutes so much. I took a GG Jackson under last game, and he just buried me. I mean, he had a huge game. Had 24 points, shot 8 for 12. He only played 26 minutes, and that was what I was kind of preaching to the people that were asking about the play. It was basically just look, he's only going to play max 28 minutes, and his fantasy line was at 29.5 last game. Look, he's probably only going to play 26, 27 minutes again. Maybe he goes under some of these lines. The lines feel fairly efficiently priced today. They also don't have Ty Jerome for this game. He was available last game. So the role will probably be bigger. I think Kyle Anderson, I'm pretty sure he's not on the team anymore. I thought I saw something his contract got bought out or something. I think let me see. I'm pretty sure he's not even available. Memphis still has a bunch of available players. Yeah, he got a buyout with Memphis, so it looks like he's done. But they still have a lot of bodies. This is just a tough team, man, because they just spread out the minutes so much. I mean, we'll see what the starting lineup is. So last game they started Small, Wells, Omax, GG, and Ty Jerome. I'm assuming Scottie Pippen will start for Ty Jerome, but it could be Cam Spencer. They could start anybody. This team there's no consistency with the Grizzlies. They've started Walter Clayton some games. He went to the bench last game. They've started Taylor Hendricks some games. He was on the bench last game. It's just a tough team, man. It's a tough team to project. They spread out the minutes so much. It's just I don't know. It's one of those spots I just kind of avoid. But the Scottie Pippen fantasy at 24.5, I did like that over. I took that. At 28 now, I definitely would not touch that at 28. I saw Alex was asking about GG Jackson. I mean, yeah, where his lines are at, they feel pretty efficient to me. I mean, he's been going over a lot lately, but he's been doing it in 26, 28 minutes. He has no minute ceiling none of these guys do, so that just concerns me. Last game, his points prop closed at 13.5. I mean, today it's at 16.5. I mean, His points prop was closed at 13.5. Last game he had 24 points. Today's at 16.5. Could be a little bit of an overreaction to last game. The matchup's pretty good though. I mean this Dallas team, they get killed in the paint, and that's where GG does score a lot of his points. 58% of his points coming from within 10 feet. Mavs are third worst defending that area. It's not a bad matchup. It's just like the minutes, man. That's what really concerns me. So probably just passing on Memphis for the most part. So I think that's pretty much it for that game. I think we're going to go to one more game here. Thunder and Nuggets. This is definitely the best game of the night. I mean, what's the spread in this game? OKC, 8.5. I just hope this is a good game. Like, I'm not really excited to watch many of the games tonight, but this is one that I'm actually kind of excited to watch. Cleveland-Detroit should be a good game, but kind of sucks that, Mitchell and Harden aren't playing. But this one should be good. So we're getting SGA back. We don't know how many minutes SGA is going to play here. I think his points prop opened at like 26.5 last night or 27.5, and they've kind of been bet up a little bit. I'm guessing SGA plays like 30 minutes, like 31, 32. I'd be surprised if he plays like over 32. So I bet if we look at games when he plays like, let's just look at games with like 30 minutes or less. Or let's say between like 25 to 30 minutes. I mean, he still is over like a lot of his props. He's averaged 29.5 points with 25 to 30 minutes this year. But also you have the concern of, he's coming back from injury. He could be a little bit rusty. I didn't touch any SGA props today. I was looking at his fantasy score on Prizepicks. It was at like 44.5. I thought that was a little bit low, even if he was going to be on a minutes limit. And the line is up to 47.5 now. I don't think I'd touch it at 47.5. I think I'm just kind of staying away from SGA tonight. He could definitely still have a big game, no doubt. But coming back from injury, on a minutes limit most likely, it's a situation I think I'll just pass on. And then with SGA back, that obviously kind of has an impact on everybody, for Chet, for Kaysen. Kaysen Wallace has been absolutely crushing lately. I'm very interested to see how much his role changes now that SGA's back. I mean, if we look at the 6 or 10 games he played without SGA this year, he averaged almost 14 points per game. With SGA, he averages, half that, 7 points per game. So, like, this could definitely be a spot where Kaysen Wallace regresses a little bit, but maybe he just keeps it going, man. I mean, he was crushing. He was playing out of his mind in the games that SGA was missing, especially the last few games. I will say he has already faced Denver once this year, and he had one of his best games of the season against Denver. So he's got that working for him. We can see that 35% of his points this year are coming from spot up. That's where Denver does struggle. 5th worst, giving up spot up points. So that's working in Kaysen Wallace's favor. Other than that, I think it's kind of just like a neutral matchup. His lines are low compared to what he's been doing lately, but with SGA back, like it's just like a tough situation to project. I mean, if you could get like 9.5 points, I don't hate that. He's at 9.5 on like draft, but like the juice is like, yeah, I just probably would avoid it, man. I mean, even at 9.5 points, you're having to lay some heavy juice there, so tough situation there. His fantasy score was at 22. It's at 24 now. That was one I was kind of looking at, but I think Kaysen Wallace could definitely be a guy that like takes a little bit of a hit here. The rest of the Thunder, so I did give out Isaiah Hartenstein 17.5 PR last night. Really, I won't go into depth on that because I already kind of broke it down. But I definitely think this is a spot where Hartenstein's minutes will be fairly secure because they need him out there to guard Jokic. As long as he avoids foul trouble, I think he plays at least like 24, 25 minutes. And you can see with at least like 24 minutes this year, he's been pretty good going over a lot of his lines. His points prop, he's over in 16 out of 21. His PR, 17 out of 21. His PRA, 16 out of 21. Definitely think it's a spot where Hartenstein's minutes should be there. Just got to hope for no foul trouble. Obviously, foul trouble could happen, especially if you have to guard Jokic. But I do like this spot for Hartenstein to get minutes. Will he be productive? We'll see. Typically, he's a player that is productive when he gets minutes. But I do like this spot for Hartenstein. I saw someone was asking about Isaiah Joe points. Yeah, we can look at Isaiah Joe. So Isaiah Joe is a player that a lot of his points come from like catch and shoot. He's a player that he kind of relies on his teammates getting him set up in his spots for shots. And Denver's definitely been a team that will give up catch and shoot points. I mean, they're 21st in catch and shoot points allowed this year. That's bottom 10 in the league. 71% of Isaiah Joe's points are coming from catch and shoot. I wonder, let's see. Let's look at games for Isaiah Joe with SGA and without. So with SGA, he averages 8 points per game. Without, 14 points per game. So like kind of similar to Cason Wallace, he's another player that his scoring drastically changes when SGA is on the court versus without, when he's off the court. Also, he's probably, I think Isaiah Joe's been starting lately. He's definitely probably going back to the bench now that SGA's back. I don't hate the matchup for Isaiah Joe, but yeah, SGA being back and his numbers with versus without SGA make me a little concerned there. If you took him for 9 points, maybe he still gets that. Maybe he knocks down some threes. That's where a lot of his scoring is going to come from, is from threes. And Denver will give up some threes. So I guess you got that working in your favor. But just seeing that drastic difference in his scoring with SGA and without makes me a little concerned. I think that's pretty much it for OKC. I don't see too much else here. Again, it's a tough situation with SGA back. We just have no idea how the usage is going to flow to a lot of these secondary guys, especially like the Cason Wallaces, the Isaiah Joes, the guys that have been doing really well lately without SGA. We just don't know, with SGA back now. But then on the Denver side, so we've got Jamal Murray still questionable. I don't think I've seen any update on Jamal Murray. I would guess he plays. Jamal Murray is typically a player that plays, even when he's questionable. I think it's an illness that he's dealing with. He had to leave last game early. He left like 5 minutes into the game and he didn't return. I was looking at some Jamal Murray unders. His points prop last night was at 22.5. It's already come down to 20.5, so I probably should have took those unders last night. So you got a guy who's dealing with an illness, probably maybe not be 100%, and he gets a terrible matchup against OKC. Now Jamal Murray, he feels like one of these players that he crushes in bad matchups, I feel like. Has he faced OKC this year? So he's faced OKC once this year. He had 29 PRA, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 12 assists. Interesting, he had 18 potential assists in that game, but they also didn't have Cam Johnson or Christian Brown those games. I mean, you can see, Jamal Murray scores 28% of his points as a pick-and-roll ball handler. OKC's pretty much league average defending that play type, but they don't give up many free throws. They give up the fewest points in transition. They give up the fewest points off isolation. They're giving up the fewest points within 10 feet. That's where 33% of Jamal Murray's points come from. It's a really bad matchup for Jamal Murray. Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, SGA, Caruso, these guys are all elite defenders. I was kind of liking some Jamal Murray unders. I think his fantasy score on Prizepicks at 38.5, it looks a little bit high to me. I think that line should be 36.5. So honestly, I don't hate that. I think that's a decent play. His PRA is 8 points. There's an 8-point differential between his PRA and his fantasy. I feel like there should probably be a 6-point differential there. I mean, Murray's typically not a super big steals and blocks guy. Let's see. I mean, his 1.5 steals and blocks is a demon. So, the odds of that happening are less likely. It just feels, if he gets, he could still go over PRA and not go over fantasy. Yeah, I think 38.5 fantasy on Jamal Murray. I think that's worth taking an under on. I think that line's a little bit high. Just a little bit high. I think that line should probably be 36.5. So I do kind of like that play. I do kind of like that. Other Denver guys, though, it's tough. So Denver is a team that, OKC is a team that they give up very few points in the paint. They really pack the paint. It's hard to score around the rim against OKC. So what that does is that typically means shooters get left open. And OKC has been a big catch-and-shoot funnel. This season, they're giving up the second most catch-and-shoot points. So it definitely screams as a good spot for Cam Johnson, just to be left open from three. We can see he's a guy that can score a lot of his points from corner threes, from above-the-break threes. OKC's very good defensively, but where they do struggle or where they will give up points is to three-point shooters. We see this a lot with Boston. They're another team that they'll leave shooters open, especially poor shooters. Christian Brown, he was wide open in their last game against Boston. He got left open from three a ton. I think he shot 2 for 5. I could see this being another scenario where Christian Brown gets left open from three. But then I wonder if these lines are a little bit inflated because Jamal Murray's questionable. And if Jamal Murray plays, I do wonder if they'll bump down the lines on Brown and Johnson and maybe some of these other guys. But I think it's a good spot for Cam Johnson to get some open threes. I mean, what is his threes at? 1.5, but it's heavily juiced. You can maybe look at like a 2.5 threes alt line, like 2.5 threes at plus money, like MGM plus 165 on 2.5 threes for Cam Johnson. Like, I don't hate that at all. It's like kind of a long shot. Let's see. Has he faced OKC this year? So he hasn't faced OKC, it looks like. Yeah, hasn't faced OKC. Yeah, that's right, because he was out that one game. Okay, we're getting some Mavs updates. Klay Thompson, who was doubtful, is out. PJ Washington, who was doubtful, is out. Caleb Martin, who was doubtful, is out. So it looks like all those doubtful tags for Dallas are all officially out. So that's good. So that should leave Dallas with like 10 available players, to my knowledge. They're going to be thin, for sure. We'll have to wait on the starting lineup, but that isn't going to come till after stream. That's probably it for Denver. Like, I don't see too much else I'm liking on Denver. If Jamal Murray gets ruled out, I think that does benefit Bruce Brown a lot. But I don't think I'd be betting any Bruce Brown overs. I would assume Jamal Murray's going to play, so I wouldn't really look at anything here. But if you're one of those people that likes to stay around and try and catch some news, I would say, be ready in case Jamal Murray does get ruled out. I would bet Bruce Brown overs if that happens, but he's probably going to play. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. We pretty much went a whole hour discussing all these 5 games. I think I answered most of everybody's questions for the most part. She said, just tuning in, what's the plays? So I can post the screenshot, but I mean, like I've said this a lot, if you're going to tell some of these slips that we give out in the live streams, you've got to be here when we give them out, because a lot of times we are betting stuff based off like injury news, lineup changes, stuff that gets moved. So, but this is what we took. When it was announced that James Harden, it looked like Harden wasn't going to play, we took Schroeder over 21.5 PRA. That line went up 4 points. Tyson Fantasy went up 5.5 points. And then KPJ Fantasy, you could play that too. That's still available. That was just kind of a pair that I liked. But that was our play that we gave out. That was our play. Really, again, it's hard to tell the stream slips if you're not in the streams when we give them out, because we're betting stuff based off like news and lineup changes, stuff that's going to move. But let me know if you guys enjoyed the game-by-game breakdown. It was definitely fun doing that. And hopefully you guys found that helpful. We didn't really give out a ton of plays today besides this one slip, but there will definitely be days when we probably give out more plays. But we kind of talked about some spots that I'm liking. Cam Johnson threes. Some Jamal Murray unders, that under fantasy on Prizepicks I kind of liked. We went through most of the games, talked about some plays, talked about injuries, stuff like that. I know it was a lot, for a 5-game slate. We talked about 5 games for a whole hour, but on bigger slates we'll spend less time on some games. But if you guys enjoyed the full game by game breakdown, let me know. I did enjoy it, and I tried to answer questions as well. Let me answer a few more questions though. I think Enrique was asking about unders on Jaylen Brown, PRA, low scoring blowout. It could be, yeah. You could definitely look at unders on Brown if you think it's a blowout, because he won't play the fourth quarter if it is. GB was asking about Claxton under fantasy and AJ Green under fantasy. Claxton under fantasy, I don't hate. It's a bad matchup. There's blowout risk. I think his line was at 27 on Prizepicks, which feels about right. AJ Green under fantasy, that line felt about right as well. That line felt about right to me. I think it was like 17.5 or 16.5. I want to say, let me see. I want to say the Knicks give up like a lot of threes. So that's a negative, I guess, if you're looking at the under on AJ Green. Yeah, the Knicks are they're bottom 10 in catch and shoot points allowed. They will give up threes. So I don't know about the AJ Green fantasy. 16.5 feels like a pretty decent line, especially for this matchup at least. And Max Christie PRA or fantasy, we could look at those. Let's see. PRA's at 22.5. Some spots 21.5. I mean, if you're on Prizepicks at least, let's see. His line's at 21.5 on Prizepicks. It looks like a lot of sites have him at 22.5. So at least that's a plus. You've got like a plus EV play there. Fantasy is at 27. I'd probably take PRA at 21.5, honestly, if I was going to bet one of those. I think PRA looks fine at 21.5 over. Again, a lot of sites have him at 22.5, as you can see here. All right, guys, I think that's it. I'm going to wrap up the stream. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. The game-by-game breakdown. It was a lot of fun doing it. You guys know I typically don't stream on the weekends, so I won't be here Saturday, Sunday, but I should be back on Monday. I'll see you guys then. Good luck. Have a good weekend. Peace out, everybody.